In the skies over the Baltic Sea, European air defense relies on a protocol known as Quick Reaction Alert, or QRA. QRA is a state of continuous military readiness where crews are prepared to scramble and intercept unidentified aircraft in under 15 minutes. For the pilots, the reality of this protocol is intense. A pilot can be fast asleep, only to be jolted awake by an alarm, sprint to a fully armed jet, and launch into the pitch-black sky within moments. Minutes after leaving the tarmac, those pilots often find themselves pulling up directly alongside heavily armed Russian military aircraft that are actively probing NATO borders. The aircraft executing these critical interceptions is the Eurofighter Typhoon. Unlike newer stealth fighters wrapped in radar-absorbent materials and internal weapon bays, the Typhoon is a fourth-generation design that appears highly visible on enemy radar. Yet, while the rest of the global military complex aggressively pivots toward invisible stealth technology, European air forces are continuing to buy, upgrade, and deeply rely on this highly conspicuous airframe. European air defense centers on a plane that ignores the core tenet of modern stealth. In a landscape where invisibility is supposedly the only way to survive, the Typhoon remains the frontline guardian, relying on raw physical power over a hidden radar signature. This wireframe diagram illustrates the aerodynamic concept of relaxed stability. By placing the center of lift forward of the center of gravity, the canard delta wing design makes the Typhoon inherently unstable in flight, forcing its computers to make constant micro-adjustments just to keep it level. This deliberate instability translates to extreme agility in the air. Powering that agile frame are two Eurojet EJ200 engines. The EJ200 is a lightweight turbofan engine developed specifically to give the Typhoon a high thrust-to-weight ratio. These engines grant the aircraft Supercruise capability, allowing it to sustain speeds of Mach 1.5 without dumping raw fuel into afterburners. Because the Typhoon doesn't have to hide its weapons inside internal stealth bays, it can carry a massive, lethal payload. Across 13 external hardpoints, the jet mounts heavy ordnance like Meteor air-to-air missiles and Storm Shadow cruise missiles. Strapping heavy weapons to a fast jet is only half the equation. The critical upgrade making this brute force effective is the Captor-E Radar system. This radar cone comparison diagram shows the difference between legacy systems and the new upgrade. Standard fixed active electronically scanned array radars are limited to a 120-degree field of view. The Captor-E solves this by mounting the antenna on a rotating pivot, expanding its sweep to a massive 200-degree field of view. To power that wide view, the radar uses Gallium Nitride, or GaN, modules. GaN is a semiconductor material that handles much higher power levels and temperatures than older silicon components. This immense power pushes the Typhoon's detection capabilities well past 200 kilometers. With that kind of emitting power, the radar is no longer just for seeing other aircraft. It actively functions as an offensive electronic warfare platform, capable of jamming enemy signals and executing targeted cyber attacks. Through these upgrades, the Typhoon's engineering transforms a visible airframe into a hyper-agile, heavily armed, flying supercomputer that actively dominates the electromagnetic spectrum. In the modern combined battle space, fourth-generation jets don't fly alone. They share the exact same airspace with fifth-generation stealth fighters, like the F-35. In this environment, the F-35 operates as the Scalpel. It uses its radar-absorbent coating to penetrate heavily contested airspace undetected, relying on advanced sensors to spot threats long before the enemy even knows it is there. However, the F-35 has a strict operational limit. To maintain a completely smooth, invisible radar profile, it must carry all of its weapons tucked away inside internal bays. This severely restricts the volume of firepower it can bring into a fight. This schematic shows how the F-35 solves its payload problem. After using its sensors to silently paint a target, the F-35 uses secure data links to instantly beam those highly detailed coordinates backward to a heavily armed Eurofighter Typhoon loitering at a safe distance. Receiving that targeting data, the Typhoon uses its Supercruise speed to position itself, launching a barrage from its massive missile payload to destroy the target from afar, guided entirely by the F-35's initial intelligence. The tactical dynamic is highly specialized. One aircraft acts as the invisible scout navigating through enemy radar, while the other serves as the visible, high-capacity magazine carrying the heavy firepower. the Typhoon serves as the essential heavy-hitting muscle of the fleet. By shouldering the massive weapons load the F-35 cannot carry internally, this fourth-generation jet makes the entire stealth wing lethal. Modern air defense scales upward into a massive coalition network. Multiple allied nations now pool their radar coverage, intelligence data, and operational responsibilities into a single unified picture of the sky. The immediate next step in this combat symbiosis is manned-unmanned teaming. This is an operational concept where human-piloted fighters directly control and communicate with uncrewed combat aerial vehicles in real time. We are already seeing the proof of concept for this tactic. During recent NATO exercises, the Typhoon successfully integrated its systems with the Turkish Bayraktar TB3 drone. In this setup, the drone operates downrange, providing real-time intelligence and striking lighter targets with its own munitions, while safely identifying heavily defended hostile targets for the Typhoon to engage from miles away. This continuous software and hardware integration proves the Typhoon is not an aging relic waiting to be phased out. Instead, it operates as a highly adaptable, fully integrated node within a constantly evolving, high-speed digital battlespace. The integrated network represents the peak of modern air power. While stealth provides the entry point to a conflict, the ability of these disparate platforms to act as a single collaborative machine determines who controls the sky.